Today we're making the Sequoia tree for the Star Wars Legion Endor project. We've used a poster tube for the base of the tree. The width of the tube is approximately 4 to 5 centimeters in diameter. We've used a bone saw to cut through the poster tube, but you could also use something else, such as a hobby knife, to cut through it, such as this one. We used self-hardening clay to sculpt the base of the tree. To make sure the clay stays attached to the tree, we use PVA glue. To sculpt the clay, you can use several sculpting tools, but the most important one is the hobby knife. This one you really need. We decided our tree should be around 35 centimeters, so we cut the tube at that length. Now we're going to form the roots of the tree. Take some clay from the package. We're going to shape it in a sort of triangular form. You're going to see later on how to shape them more accurately. And make sure to seal the package because it's self-hardening clay. This is what it should look like. We use a brush to apply the PVA glue to the tube. We have some water on the side to rinse the brush. You will want to apply the glue in large areas. And keep in mind that the glue will dry fairly quick. To get the organic looks of natural roots, shaping them in several different sizes is essential. Basically form some small triangular shapes and make some bigger, or extend their forms throughout bigger lengths. To create the bark, we use a hobby knife. Cut in an upward or downward motion. And do not be too precise about it, as it's supposed to be a natural object. Don't be too precise about adding the texture to the tree. And continue this process until you added all the roots to the tree. Continue adding clay to the rest of the tube, all the way up to the top, in various thicknesses. Taking into account that both the clay and glue dry fairly quick, you will want to switch between the steps of adding glue, then slapping on new clay, followed by creating the bark texture. For the tree stumps, take some clay and create a small cylinder shape. Point this shape upwards on the tree bark and add it to some existing clay. Use your fingers to make it naturally flow into the bark. Use either a knife or a sculpting tool to create the round circles on the end of the tree stump. On the sides, you will want to create the tree bark, such as done before. We added several more tree stumps to our tree, but you can add any amount you'd like. Make a circle out of clay, add it to the top of the tree and add some circles to it like we did before with the tree stumps. Next up, we're priming the tree with Army Painter Leather Brown. Do some final checking and scrape off some loose pieces. Shake the can and spray in thin layers. The final result should look something like this. we use a Citadel base brush and some Agrax Earthshade to create the depth in the tree. Apply this heavily to the tree bark, don't be shy. Give it some time to dry. The final product should look something like this. The colors we used are from Citadel. They're Rhinox Hide, Scrag Brown, Deathclaw Brown, Flayed One Flesh, Nurgling Green, Straken Green, Deathworld Forest and Skavenblight Dinge. We used both a base brush and a large dry brush. Have some water to rinse your brushes and a paper towel to clean your brushes. Start off with Rhinox Hide and Scrag Brown and mix them in equal parts. Essential to dry brushing is to have a minimal amount of paint on your brush. You can lose the excess paint by scraping it across a paper towel. Slightly brush the tree to just add a little bit of paint. Dry brushing is not about adding thick layers of paint, but it's about adding thin layers to create depth. If you're not pleased with the result, add more Scrag Brown to the mixture. After adding the first layer of paint, we will add just Scrag Brown on its own. We will dry brush this as well with the paint. And now just continue using the dry brush technique we explained before. Because this is such an intense color, make sure to not apply it throughout the whole tree, but just in several areas. The final highlight is Deathclaw Brown. Apply this to the same areas as we did before with the Scrag Brown, using the same dry brushing technique. Next up is Skavenblight Dinge. We dry brush this onto the tree to create a more natural looking tree. As with the color before, apply this on several areas and not throughout the whole tree. Finally, for a moss effect, we use different shades of green. Deathworld Forest, Straken Green and Nurgling Green, and add them in the respective order. The lighter the shade of green, the less you want to apply of it. Finally, to paint the tree stumps on the top of the tree, we use Deathclaw Forest and Flayed One Flesh. The mixture will be painted on with a large brush on the tree stumps and the top of the tree. By adding more Flayed One Flesh to the mixture, you will be able to highlight the areas. Finally, if you're not happy with the results, you can add a Thonian green shade to the green parts by creating more depth. You can do the same with the tree stumps by adding Agrex Earthshade. Last but not least, we will add some Flock of Woodland Scenics Fine Turf Soil, Fine Turf Green Grass and Fine Turf Weeds to the tree. We mix them in equal parts for a natural effect. If you're not pleased with the result and find it to be too green, you can add some more fine turf soil to the mixture. Once again, we will use the PVA glue to apply the turf to the tree. Add some water to the mixture to make it more soluble. Add the PVA mixture to the tree, especially on the areas where you painted the moss color before. Then roughly add some fine turf to the tree and gently tap the excess off. Continue this process until you're pleased and happy with the results. This is the end of part 1, creating the Sequoia tree. Stay tuned for part 2, where we will create the Ewok village. Hey there, thanks for watching this video. We hope you liked it and be sure to subscribe if you did. Hit the notification bell to get updated and feel free to drop a comment below.